Boo bitches! Welcome to episode 143 of C3 Crystals, Cauldrons, and Cocktails. I'm River,
And I'm Ren.
and today we're going to be talking about hedge witchcraft.
Yes.
So, yeah, we've all heard things about the definitions of what a hedge witch is and what type of practice they have, and there's a lot of conflicting information. So, we decided to do a deeper dive into what a hedge witch is all about.
Mm-hmm.
But first, and most importantly, what are we drinking today? So, you guys, we are on our vacation in the mountains together, and
Mm-hmm.
we are having so much fun. You won't believe the temperatures up here.
Oh
It,
my gosh,
it's
it's amazing.
it's like the 70s, lower 70s. It's
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
We set out on the deck. They had a gas fireplace out there, and we actually had it was cold enough to have it on because
Yes.
it has been rainy, a little
Mm-hmm.
bit rainy.
But it's
But
covered, so it's not so bad.
anyway, yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful house that we rented. But we wanted to do some kind of drink that was mountain related.
Yes.
So we're drinking something that reminds me of the mountains because of the clouds. Gosh, you all, the clouds have been hanging so low on the
We're in
mountaintops.
a cloud
Yeah,
24/7. It's
it's
fantastic. I love
it's
it.
gorgeous. But this drink has cream, sweet wine that you steep with lemon peel, apple brandy, lemon juice, a pinch of allspice, and sugar. And you whisk all these ingredients together in a large glass bowl. You can stir it vigorously, like with a whisker,
Mm-hmm.
to get that froth to rise. And that's the part that makes me think of the clouds.
Yeah.
And then you skim away the froth, but you save it in a separate bowl. And then you continue whisking. And then you fill the glasses halfway or a little bit more with the liquid and you top it with the froth. It's so fun.
Mm-hmm. No, I like
But
this one.
we
I
forgot to
have one
name
of
it.
those frother thingies. Um, how about uh the cloudy witch? I don't know.
Cloudy, Cloudy Witch.
The
Y'all tell us a name.
gloomy day.
It is. It is. Mm,
But I use one of those frothers, the
yeah.
frothers.
Hmm.
And that's how but you can also just put it into a bowl and just whisk very, very
Whisk it.
fast, or put it in like a little shaker and shake it type of vibe. You
Yeah,
don't
I'm
have to
not
have anything
bougie,
fancy
so I don't
schmancy.
have the fancy schmancy frother.
Yeah.
But I can do a mean whisk.
Yes, you can.
Yes.
I'm
So,
over here on one side of the kitchen going, okay, push one button, and then you're over here going,
yep.
uh,
Okay. So let's get on to our topic.
yes. So, what is a hedge witch?
Hmm.
So, usually seen as a solo practitioner living at the edge of a community, loner.
Hmm.
A
Hmm.
hedge witch has been both feared and revered for their knowledge of nature and the spiritual world. So sometimes they're called the wise woman or a cunning man. A hedge
Okay.
witch is closely associated with home and hearth and protecting their families.
Yeah, that term that it's an homage to those wise women of the olden times that they did. They weren't really a part of the internal community. They weren't the social um, women that were like involved in everyday management of the community. They lived out on the edges of the town and beyond a hedge, which is part of where the name hedge witch comes
Hmm.
from. And hedges typically find magical intent in routine day-to-day activities. So another definition is that a hedge witch is a practitioner of a form of folk magic that focuses on liminal spaces between the physical and spiritual worlds. And this is the definition that I came across more often than any other. The
Hmm.
term hedge refers to the idea that these witches walk that metaphorical hedge that serves as a boundary between the ordinary world and the realm of the supernatural. That's the hedge that I have seen that word most commonly going with, but also the hedges from the outskirts of the actual community itself.
Hmm. Hmm.
And hedge witches are often known for their abilities to navigate these boundaries and access hidden wisdom and energies that exist beyond this hedge.
hmm I I don't know. I don't know if I vibe with Hedge Witches after doing a lot of our
Research.
research. I do, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Like, I mean, I feel like anybody can be a hedge witch, based on like location, based on if you have a coven or not a coven, if you
Mm-hmm.
want a coven, and maybe you're the one that's like kind of like not as involved, but still involved. And I don't know. I feel like
I
anybody and everyone is a hedge witch at some point.
I had always thought of a hedge witch as being kind of like a kitchen witch or a green witch, kind
Green
of,
witch, yeah,
yeah. So
not
this
this.
this this boundary between the physical and the spiritual realm was an interesting definition to
Yes.
me.
Yes. So a hedge witch in witchcraft is, or hedge witchcraft is often like a solitary and highly individual
Mm-hmm.
practice, where you can develop your own unique blend of techniques and practices, which I
Mm-hmm.
feel like is everybody.
I think
And
so.
so it emphasizes, practically like hands-on work with natural materials and personal direct experiences with the spiritual realm. So hedge witches value self-reliance, intuition, and personal growth, often, formulating those structures and organized traditions, maybe you want to call
Mm-hmm.
it, in favor of more freeform it is more free-formed and adaptive approach to craft or
Yeah,
witchcraft than
they're
anything else.
yeah, they're definitely not the traditional ritualistic type
Mhm.
of witch.
But I feel like anybody can be like that.
I
Like
know,
you
you're
might
right.
have like some for some spells and certain things you might have more structure, but for other spells and other things you might not need that type of structure for
Mm-hmm.
however your spell or whatever it is you're doing will
Mm-hmm.
work.
Mm-hmm.
So a hedge witch does not belong to a coven. She or he, they do not follow the rules of any sect or organized religion. Their
Mm-hmm.
craft is their own, usually handed down by family, which I like that. I really do like
Mm-hmm.
that. Usually handed down by family and honed by their own experiences and research, where you will not find two hedge witches that are alike. And I like that as well. But
I
I
do
feel like that's
too.
everybody. That's every witch. You, even if you
Mm-hmm.
are in a coven, you are not the same as another person in your coven. Like you are
Right.
not, everyone is different.
Mm-hmm.
So each follows their own path. The common thread that puts them under the heading of hedge witch is their herbal remedies, which is this is where we kind of get into what we thought more about what a hedge witch
Yeah.
was. Herbal
Yeah.
remedies and their their solitude in their practices, like their
Uh-huh.
celerity. So celerity?
Yeah. I
Solidarity. I don't know.
solidarity, man. Woo!
Woo!
Uh, the most definitive characteristic probably of a hedge witch
Wow.
is that she or he or they have a remedy for just about everything under the sun.
hmm
And much of it was prepared either by the light of the moon or a certain time frame of the month, certain
hmm
phase of the moon, a phase of the sun, a time
hmm
of day, that kind
Yeah.
of thing.
See,
So,
with doing these notes and learning about hedge witches and how they are none are alike, and they are very, yeah, single. Like they are very alone, but alone's not
mhm,
the quite right word. But
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like in a way I'm a hedge witch because of that. Like I know we talk about, casting spells and all of that, but I usually do mine alone. Like usually we do not
mhm,
cast spells together. Like we just sit down and we talk about what we do and we help
mhm,
each other learn and grow, but we aren't really in each other's craft and go, oh, this is how we should do these things. Like we
mhm.
aren't. So I feel like we are both in a sense, hedge witches in that way.
I
And
think
it's
so.
made me want to sit down and think more about how I want to pursue being a witch more.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
feel like I have a lot of chaos going on in my personal life where I haven't been able to really think and sit down and understand what I'm doing in witchcraft.
This is this is why we needed the vacation.
Yes. But in a sense, it's
Although
also we're going back to real life soon, and
I
I
know,
don't know. where my witchcraft lies anymore because I haven't had time for it. And so
Yeah.
I
And
just feel frustrated right now.
we didn't really spend a lot of time on the podcast as we expected to. We'd done a lot of drinking.
Yeah,
But
we're more
uh,
towards the end of this
yeah,
vacation and it's
we thought that we would get a lot more done than we have. But it has been wonderful just to be together and be away from work and,
Mhm,
just be our spouses are here and
mhm.
they've done some
Everything is
hiking.
so chaotic. Yeah, instead of
Yeah.
sitting down and doing podcast stuff, we've been very much uh, mm, enjoying ourselves in a
Yes.
physical sense and not having to worry about work and not having to worry about,
Hmm.
oh, anybody else or like what's going to be for dinner. All of it's already planned. Like there's
Yeah. It's just
nothing.
fun.
We're
And
just brain
so,
dead this week.
yeah, yeah. So we actually have had a really good time. We just didn't get as much done on the podcast as we thought we would. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. What are the characteristics of a hedge witch? So, number one, connection to nature.
Hmm.
Hedge witches have a deep personal relationship with nature, which is why I kind of thought they were green witches. They spend significant time in natural settings, learning from and working with the land, the plants, and the animals.
Hmm. Yeah, they often maintain herb gardens, which could never be me,
Mm.
obviously, because I always freaking kill all my herbs,
Yes,
and use their knowledge. Okay, wait, speaking of herbs, so you know how
yes.
lavender is used for luck,
Hmm.
and I have no luck. Is that why
Mm.
I can't grow lavender?
I wonder.
Is that why my lavender always dies, even though I'm doing everything I'm supposed to?
I wonder. Maybe so. Maybe you've got to really cultivate it to get that luck going the right way.
Hmm. Anyways, sorry.
Hmm.
I had that thought the other day and I meant to tell you, while, in person, but I was like, I'll
Hmm.
save it for the podcast and then here we are. Boom.
Hmm.
So, yes, they often maintain herb gardens and use their knowledge of plants for healing, crafting potions, and performing spells. So, modern hedge witches maintain a strong bond with nature, often through gardening, foraging, which we've talked about, and outdoor activities. They or you if you're one, you may live in urban areas but find ways to incorporate nature into your daily life. I think we've talked about that in our foraging
Yeah. We
episode as
just had
well.
a foraging episode. So
Yes.
go and listen to that if you
Hmm.
skipped, because we have a whole bunch of details about how to urban forage and
Yes,
practice
yes.
witchcraft in the urban setting.
Yeah. So a lot of the urban gardening or regular visits to natural settings can help you maintain that nature aspect of the wow, I'm struggling.
Hmm.
Nature aspect of being a hedge witch.
You've got a
So
little bit of cloud on your lip. There you go. There you
okay.
go. Sorry.
So, yes, that threw me off. Herbalism. Leave the cloud where it's supposed to be. It's a snack for later. So, y- hedge witches are seen to be proficient in the use of herbs for medicinal and magical purposes. So, a lot of I say you, a lot of, I'm struggling herbal oh, wow, modern hedge witches use these for herbal remedies. There, that's all I was
Hmm.
trying to say.
Hmm.
So there's
Yeah.
more of an understanding of the magical correspondences of various plants and uses and knowledge in your practice. So there's a lot more deeper knowledge in what your purpose is in using it into your potions, spells, whatever it may
Yeah.
be.
I feel like a hedge witch doesn't have to look it up every time. Like I
Yeah.
do, I
Yeah.
still do. Although we've also talked about how it's your intent that makes it. So
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
because the internet says it's something doesn't mean it
Hmm.
is. But
Yeah, I
I
mean, and
do.
if you're somebody who is foraging all the time and
Hmm.
understanding what's, edible, what's not edible, what can do
Hmm.
this, all these things, then I'm very punctual today, like not very good things. I'm saying words like things and yes, and my brain is falling apart, but you
Couldn't be the alcohol.
you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
But yeah, I mean, in modern times, back in the day, of course, they needed to know what all these different herbs meant and which ones were healing herbs and which ones were poisonous. And they did. They were like the wise women who had, or men who had the ability to draft a potion that would cure the cough that this person had or whatever.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
in modern times, we have modern medicine, so we're not as proficient these days. But I feel like a hedge witch does have that contemporary knowledge of herbs for healing and magic,
Hmm. Hmm.
and they probably make their own tinctures and salves, and they use modern resources to learn about plant properties and applications. So they can go to the internet to learn these things.
Hmm. Yes.
But we also, modern witches, have that flexibility to buy from a local farmer's market rather than having to grow your own. So if you don't have the space, if you are in a city studio condo and you don't have room, you can go to your local farmer's market. It's still local produce, local herbs, and you can use that. Not everybody, like Ren and I, have a green
Hmm.
thumb. Um, and so we're lucky to have these other options that we can do as far as the herbalism goes.
Yes. Yes. I need a little bit more. I just need time to dedicate to
Yes, I think that is what it is.
like herbs and doing spells and harnessing what I call my craft. Ugh.
Hmm. Hmm.
Ugh. 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 I
Too
don't have
much to do,
time.
not enough
Yeah.
time. I know.
So what I found really interesting about hedge witches is there's a central practice of hedge witchcraft that is hedge writing.
Yeah.
So this involves journeying into the other world or spiritual realm, which I love this, but
Hmm.
I've always talked about how this stuff scares me because
Hmm.
sometimes you might not be able to come back. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. You
But
definitely have to have a tether.
yes, this can be
Hmm.
done through meditation, trance, and other methods to achieve an altered state of consciousness. When I think of this, I think of sleep for sure.
Oh, that pre-sleep time,
Yes, or like
right as you're
you're like in the
drifting.
astral
Hmm.
realm
Hmm.
sleeping. Yeah, this is what I think about. Now, you can achieve it through meditation trance. If I were to try to do it in my craft, I would probably sleep is probably the best
Hmm. Hmm.
window for me. So, hedge writing is used for gaining wisdom, seeking guidance, communicating with spirits. I see this. I've been really harnessing ancestral magic
Yes, you have.
recently.
Hmm.
I feel a very deep connection to, I feel silly, but like the deep connection to literally my 1/16th
Hmm.
of my
Native American.
Native American. And I
Hmm.
know I've talked about this before. I feel so silly saying that because I cannot say, oh, I am of Native American culture. I cannot say anything like that because
Hmm.
I haven't been raised that way. I haven't had
Hmm.
any attachment to that. And I only have like little, like very little influence in that in my blood. Like I know
Hmm.
Americans are bashed on because they're like, oh, I have 1/16th of this and
Hmm.
I'm 2% German. I know we get bashed on and I mean, I don't see why
I mean,
because that's part of
and
our history,
yeah,
but
ancestors are still
it's
in that
yeah,
line,
it is still our ancestry. Now, how much can it call to you and how much can you do without quote pushing boundaries that shouldn't be pushed and all
Right.
of that. But I have been having some calls from that part of my ancestry, and I do know that it's not anything for me to practice essentially on of like having certain materials that I'm going to bring into my
Right.
practice. Like I'm not doing any of that, but I do have like deep feelings towards that
Hmm.
side
Hmm.
right now. And so when I was doing these notes and researching like hedge writing and how you can use that to gain wisdom, I immediately thought about like my ancestors that I've been
Hmm.
feeling very pulled to, which I haven't been feeling pulled to ever really. So I
Hmm.
have that side of my ancestors that I'm pulled to, and then I'm really pulled to the Celtic side of my ancestry as well.
Hmm.
And which is funny because there's a big chunk of, I don't even really know. Like I'm literally a mishmash. I'm a mutt. Like I'm a mishmash of everything. Like I'm just purely like American. Like I don't
I
have like
I want to
anything that I can draw on.
I want to do that DNA thing and see what I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be
But
fun.
I don't know. While doing these, it made me want to go into those. this altered state of
Mm-hmm.
otherworldly, but I'm scared.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I really thought this was interesting. And this doing these and reading about hedge witches and all of that has really opened my mind and been like, wow, I need to really start focusing more and altering my craft a little bit to do and being more of what I want it to be
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
rather than what it has been in this weird,
I
chaotic
mean,
state of my life.
well, this is a time of growth, I think. The chaos, growth comes from chaos, and you definitely are in
I
a
just want to be,
chaotic
a part of
state.
those movie montages where it's like, they're so happy and then they grow old and you miss all of the stuff in between, but I
Mm-hmm.
want to be at the end already. I want to be in that movie montage. I don't want to have to do this growth. I don't want to.
You got
I
to.
don't
That's
want it. I just need a movie
part of
montage. I
growth.
need to watch this part. I need to watch it, not feel it and experience it. I need my own
You
movie
won't
montage.
grow if you don't experience it. You have to experience it. That's
Mm.
why shadow work is so
I
hard.
know. And
I know.
that's why I'm feeling a big shift in my craft
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
I was watching Practical Magic yesterday, and it
Oh,
always makes me feel so much better.
that's so funny. Yeah, I was playing computer game. I did do two TikTok videos this week while we were out. I did get
Yeah.
those done.
Yeah, I huddled in our little room and put on a little
Mm-hmm.
movie while y'all were
Mm-hmm.
out. I was watching a movie.
Mm-hmm. That's nice.
I forgot to tell you, I watched Practical Magic and other stupid things, but Practical Magic was in there.
Yeah, I love that. That's one of my
So,
favorite all-time movies.
yep. So, anyways, modern hedge witches continue the practice of hedge writing using medication? No.
No.
Meditation.
Well, that
No.
might be one way to get there.
Maybe. Woo. Meditation, guided visualization, and modern techniques like I really always like the perennial binaural words
Oh
always get
yeah,
me fucked up.
yeah, those beats, but what are they called? They're not bilinear. But I know what you're talking about. Those
Okay.
beats.
Yes. Or
Yeah.
virtual reality experiences to enter altered states of consciousness and journey into the other world, which I had never thought about. And I guess I had in like a kind of a context, but I had never thought about using technology, which we just had a technology
Hmm.
episode. So go listen to it. Technology to help enter me into this altered state.
I mean, it makes sense that it would.
Yes, and there's
Yeah.
like beats and like
Yeah.
musical chimes and stuff that really help
Hmm.
enter you into that state, which I think is so cool. So
Hmm.
why not use that as part of like, and if you want to vision like think of it as a technical thing in your craft, then why not?
Hmm. I agree. Yeah, the VR thing, we talked about that, and I still don't know. I mean, I guess we're still new, and at least I am. I haven't delved into that. I do like to play video games, but I haven't done any of the VR games. But you can
VR is
use
weird.
it is
It's
you can use
interesting.
VR to kind of simulate natural settings or mystical landscapes, which might help you get immersed into that um, altered state, I suppose.
Yeah.
Another thing that's common with hedge witches is spirit work. Hedge witches often communicate with spirits, including ancestors, like you were talking about,
Hmm.
nature spirits or other spirits, and they might seek assistance, guidance, or partnership in your magical practices with doing spirit work. Creating sacred spaces like altars or a nook in your garden that is sacred. Um, those all help to work with spirits. That's a very common thing among hedge witches is to have
Hmm.
this
Hmm.
sacred space set aside. Modern hedge witches do use their technology, so apps and online resources to assist in your spiritual communication and ancestral research, like what is the thing that people buy, the genealogy thing?
Mm.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
Anyway,
it's like, yeah, whatever.
you can do that to that gives you a better idea instead of this idea of who your ancestors might be. It gives you who your ancestors really
Oh
were,
yeah,
if you can
that's
get
true.
back that far back,
That far back, yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm. Maybe I'll have to do that. I think it'll be cool.
that would
But
be fun.
how real are they though? Like,
I don't know. I mean, supposedly you get these little tips about, like your ancestor came to America and had to sign the book at the Statue of Liberty or whatever, and they have pictures of the people who actually entered the United States, and I mean it's pretty cool.
so weird. I
Mm-hmm.
just my brain can't fathom. Anyways.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, divination is one of those things that hedge witches are also really good at.
Mm-hmm.
So, your hedge witches use tools such as tarot cards, runes, pendulums, scrying mirrors, whatever it may be, to
Mm-hmm.
gain insights and foretell the future, which I like. I like
Mm-hmm.
this.
Mm-hmm.
I love divination all the way around.
Me too.
And then they interpret omens and signs from nature as part of their divinatory practices.
Okay.
Divinatory is not a
That's
word
a word.
I
Is that a
usually
word?
use. I
I
don't
think it's a
know.
word.
But I thought this was really cool because instead of just using, the generic, like, I mean, and it's okay to use all of this, like the tarot cards, runes,
Mm-hmm.
pendulums, they actually use signs and everything from nature itself, which I
Mm-hmm.
just, I don't know, I really like it. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like cloud watching could also be a form of
Oh yeah.
divination. I love a good cloud watching.
Oh yeah, for
Mhm.
sure, for sure.
So, modern hedge witches use a variety of divination tools, including all of that, but you also can
Mm-hmm.
use digital apps as well. I know
Mm-hmm.
based off of our technology episodes, I've been wanting to kind of say what those options are too, because we always say like the oldie time, like the more
Mm-hmm.
in person, but we are in a digital era. So
Yeah,
I
we're
want to
modern
start including that
witches.
too.
Yeah.
So you can also have digital apps, and they heavily rely on their intuition and may incorporate like modern psychology to enhance their
Oh,
understanding and interpretation of these messages, these divination messages.
I hadn't thought of that. That's a great idea. We've got
Mhm.
psychiatry books, psychology books. You could pull them
Oh
out,
yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
that's interesting. Another thing that hedge witches are really good at is healing, because back in the
Oh yeah.
day, they were the ones that people went to heal that horrible cough or whatever. And it's still a significant aspect of hedge witching. Um, and
Hedge
this
witching.
includes, is that a word?
I
Hedge
don't know.
witching?
Hedge witching. You're turning witch into like a
All
verb.
kinds of
I'm
verbs. Yeah.
witching today. I feel I'm gonna go witching.
Yeah, absolutely. So this includes not only physical healing, like with herbal remedies and stuff, but spiritual and emotional healing as well through energy work and rituals. I think hedge witches are very good at that. And they often act as the healers in their communities. Even in the modern times, people might go to a hedge witch and say, "Hey, I've been having this horrible cough," or whatever it
Mhm.
is. What's a natural remedy that I can use because I don't want to take codeine cough medicine or whatever.
Mhm.
Um,
Which, I mean, I understand that in a sense.
yeah,
Because, I mean, I'm all for modern day medicine, but I'm also at what point does it stop? Because they always seem to just push these
yeah, they
pills and
keep
these drugs
throwing the medicine
and
at
all of them
you.
have awful side effects and blah, blah, blah. Now I'm all for modern medicine up until a point where you're just like,
Hmm.
okay, are you just using me to get money for big pharma now? Or
Hmm.
like, are you actually trying to help? And so I am all for, holistic practices and like healing and natural healing in this way as
Hmm.
well. I'll
Yeah,
never
that's
push
like
off a natural remedy. I love a good natural
for
remedy.
sure. Like modern hedge witches combine that traditional herbal knowledge with contemporary practices like
Hmm.
Reiki.
Oh yeah.
Reiki is something I would love to delve into, but also crystal healing, aromatherapy, that kind of thing. So they might study modern medicine to complement their natural remedies,
I
like you were
like that.
talking about. Yeah,
I like
yeah,
that. Yeah. And I really like the tools and everything that hedge witches can kind of use. I mean, we can use all of these as witches just in general.
right,
So we're not
right,
saying
right,
that
right.
all of these tools and all of these things that hedge witches do are only for hedge witches. Like, that's not the point of this. We're just saying
Mm-hmm,
that this is what a hedge witch can be considered and this is what they can use.
mm-hmm,
Because I feel like I don't want anyone to get confused when we're talking about topics like this. Like,
Right,
we're not
right.
saying that this is exactly how it's supposed to be, or you can't
And
use anything
you,
because you're not, quote, a hedge witch. Like, that's not what we're
right.
saying.
And you may be a witch out there going, we don't use that. I don't use that in my
Yeah.
practice. And
And that's
that's
completely
perfectly
fine.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. You don't
absolutely.
have to use these. You can use them, whatever resonates with you.
Mm-hmm.
So, a broom or a besom is one of the first
Mm-hmm.
ones used. So it's used for cleansing spaces and sweeping away negative energies. You can use
Mm-hmm.
a cauldron, which represents transformation and is used for brewing potions and other magical concoctions.
Mm-hmm.
Herbs and plants, obviously. It's essential for herbalism, spells, and spirit work. Divination tools like tarot cards, runes, pendulums, and other things used for gaining insight. The Book of Shadows or journal,
Mm-hmm.
which
Journals.
interchangeable, whatever you want to use,
You
say it
guys,
is.
we found a shop while we were here this week, and
Yes.
we both bought journals. Surprise,
Yes,
surprise.
mine is so cute. So I don't know if any of you guys have read, I'm holding it right in front of me because it's always next to me right now.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you guys read the books or saw the movie that later came out of the Spiderwick. I
Yes.
was I was a kid when they came out, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Relative, like a kid, like medium kid, whatever you want to say. And it has like creatures on it. Like, I don't know even know. I'll have to put a picture on a blog or
Yeah.
something.
You should take a picture of that journal. I'll take a picture of mine too.
Okay, but
But
they're exactly like Spiderwick creatures.
mm-hmm.
Oh, like the Fae and all of that they encounter,
Mm-hmm.
and the
Goblins and
goblins, and they're so cool looking. And
mm-hmm.
I was like, it was a toss up between this one and one with like pretty flowers on it. My
Mm-hmm.
husband, he was like, obviously you're gonna get this one. And I was like, yeah, but I want the flowers too. And he was like,
Well,
just
I kept
let's just
telling her
pick one.
you should buy both, and her husband looked at me with a dirty look.
Like, come on. He was like,
Really,
help me
River?
out here. Yeah, help me out here. Because I still have books that I have not even touched
I
because they're one of those
know.
things where I'm like, I don't want to
Gotta
ruin
have
it.
it.
Yeah, I
I
don't want to
know, I
ruin it.
know, I
So
know,
I'm
I
thinking that
know.
this one is going to be one of my recipe books.
Oh, how fun.
So I'm really like this one, and I've explained my aesthetic. I want to be like an old grandma
Mm-hmm.
aesthetic. And so when these get passed down, like I want physical traces instead of everything to be digital. So when these get passed down, I literally want my kids to look at this book and go, what the fuck?
Uh-huh. Well, the problem with writing in journals is that your handwriting has to be legible and mine is not.
Yeah, I'm trying my
Because,
best to make it readable. Yeah.
yeah, my kids will look at it and go, what the fuck was she trying to say here? What
Like,
is
is
this?
that 2 cups of sugar or 2 cups of salt? I don't know.
It looks like an S. Don't know.
But yes, we love a good journal. We always talk about journals, but they are a
Mm-hmm.
really good place to keep personal record of spells, recipes, or herbal recipes, experiences, knowledge, test trials. So a good journal or book of shadows is really important for a modern day or hedge witch or
Mm-hmm.
any witch in general.
Mm-hmm.
And then modern hedge witches have the luxury of using digital tools as well to help them out.
Of course. Yeah.
Which I don't know. I'm still in a toss up on digital stuff. I love digital stuff,
Yeah.
but I love a good physical copy as well.
Well, I want to talk about the history of hedge witchery, but I think we've kind of covered it. So I'll
Hmm.
just go through it. As we said, the term hedge witch is derived from the ancient practice of living on the outskirts of society,
Yep.
often near the protected boundaries that marked by hedgerows, which is what they used to, back in the day, a lot of villages didn't have stone walls and that kind of thing. They actually
Hmm.
had plant life to be their boundaries. And these natural borders symbolize the divide between the cultivated world of humans and then this wild, untamed realm of nature and spirits.
Hmm.
And hedge witches, therefore, were kind of in between, and they were mediators between these worlds, drawing their power from the liminal spaces and the wild energies that flow there, which I kind of like that. I do love that
Yeah.
energy
Yeah.
feel
And
of
I
that.
feel like I think we have it on our calendar to do an episode on liminal spaces.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Because we always talk about, yeah, they're from the liminal spaces, blah blah blah, and maybe we have lightly talked about it, but they're really good. It's a good topic.
We've
Um,
talked about the in between spaces in several episodes, but I don't think we've done a
a
whole
whole
episode.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do like that about hedge witches and how they can draw their power from certain spaces and they have more focuses based on like their history.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know we talked about the hedge witches being healers and herbalists, but they're also seers that provide essential services such as like midwifery as
Oh
well
yeah.
and
Yeah.
divination. Divination is has been really coin key. That's not a saying.
Well,
Coin key
especially coin
in this.
key. I want a coin key.
Coin key.
But back in the those days, they needed to know if a storm was going to come
Hmm.
or if something was going to happen to the crops and what can we do to prepare. And so hedge witches were super important, these wise women or and men back in the day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like their deep knowledge of just anything like natural remedies, plants, and
Hmm.
all of that, it was very important for the people around them,
Hmm.
like very important.
Hmm.
But in the past, simple acts like brewing pots of tea or sweeping the floors were infused with magical ideas and intentions, which I really like that because I feel
I do
like
too.
based on the history that we have, a lot of maybe uh, I don't know, like some things that we coin as just like being witchy might have stemmed from something like a hedge witch,
Right.
like
Hmm.
the brooms and besoms
You
and
remember, I think I've talked about this before,
brewing.
the
Go ahead.
original Charmed episode, the original Charmed series.
Hmm.
There was one where they all go back in time and they learn the importance, like you said, in today's world, we've forgotten the
Yeah.
importance of
Hmm.
besoms and that kind of thing. And they went back in time and learned, regained some of that knowledge
Hmm.
from the past
Oh
about
yeah.
how these common everyday things really came from a magical beginning.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
really would love to be able to sit down and watch a movie or I guess astral project into a different timeline and just see how everything was. I think that would be so cool and we could learn
Hmm.
so much because I feel like a lot of the history that we're taught isn't actually the history.
I
It's just
think you're
kind of
right.
like maybe it could all be made up, or maybe it's just like bits and pieces that we've kind of tried to fabricate and put together, but maybe it's the wrong
Well,
timeline and maybe it's just false information and all of
number
that.
one, as they say, the victors write the history. So it's
That is
all
true.
skewed from whoever's point of
Mm-hmm.
view. And then number two, we've talked about the mandala effect. There really could be
Mm-hmm.
alternate histories that I, I,
Maybe
I
have
mean,
meshed together
that have meshed
somehow
together. That's a good way to
in
say
some
that. Yeah.
way. Yeah,
Hmm.
because I mean,
Hmm.
like we have just small things here and there, even in today's world, where it's only come up as something, whoa, that's different because online, like we share everything at our fingertips
Hmm.
and it's in an instant. So
Hmm.
instantly everyone knows that the bear stain bears is not bear stain or whatever, which one it is
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
A or the I or whatever it is. I don't remember.
I
I was
think
too
they're
young to
saying,
know to
I
recognize
can't
that one.
remember either. I don't know, but
Hmm. Or
yeah.
something like that,
Yeah.
or like the fruit of the loom has the cornucopia or never had the
Hmm.
cornucopia or whatever it was.
Well, I keep seeing that stupid Monopoly guy on apps on my
Oh, with the
phone, the ad,
monocle.
and he doesn't have the monocle. And I'm like, he looks bare-eyed. You know how when you know someone who has glasses and
And
they
they
take off
take
their
them off.
glasses and
Yeah.
how funny it looks? That's how he looks to me. I swear in my reality, he had a
Uh-huh. So
monocle.
it's like small things like that that I feel like maybe in passing by in the olden days where you'd be like, "Oh yeah, man, that monocle. Oh yeah." And but that would be it. It wouldn't be this sensational everybody knows that something's going
Yeah,
on.
because it was localized back then. There
Yeah.
was no
And
internet.
so
Yeah.
a lot of our information that we have, I'm not sure if it's real or anything like that. So I would love to just sit down, watch a movie of our whole entire history.
Hmm.
I think that would be so cool, but I won't ever be able to see that, which
I
is
would
so
say
sad.
it would be cool to go back in time, but it would smell.
You're worried about the smells. I'm worried about the
Yes.
disease. There's a
Well,
lot
and
of
the
disease.
diseases. Ooh.
You would have to be able to go back, but you would have to be in like your body would have to have like a spell cast on it of like you cannot
Did
age, you cannot die, you will not get dehydrated.
did
You
I tell you that's what my brother thinks that UFOs
what?
are people from the future coming to watch us in the past to learn from history.
Well, they're not doing a very good job. They're just scaring us, stupid people. You think they would at least know something like, oh yeah, the UFOs, and then ring a ding ding.
Hmm. He swears
Anyways.
that's what they are. He's like, yeah, they're watching us. They come back in time and they're not allowed to interact with us. So they just watch us from these spaceships. Yeah, he's weird. My
Okay.
family's weird.
Okay. Sure. We're way off topic. So let's talk about
We
how we
are.
can incorporate hedge witchery
Okay.
into our practice.
Okay. So look at your small domestic tasks from a spiritual perspective. Whether you're cooking dinner, cleaning the bathroom, doing laundry, focus on the sacredness, so to speak, of these actions. How, be intentional in those instead of going, oh shit, I just got to clean up the kitchen and I'm in a hurry. And no, take the time to actually enjoy the transformation that is taking place when you're cooking, going from raw potatoes to mashed potatoes, the cleaning of the bathroom, that, immerse yourself in that spiritual side of domestic tasks. Cook with love. That's something that Ren, of course, or she cooks with hate sometimes, as she said before.
Only
Speak to your
sometimes.
house. Speak to your house. This one, I saw it on the internet too. And they're like, yes, that's right. Talk to your house. Your home is a part of a magical energy field that you help create. So when you walk into your house after a day of work, greet your house. Thank it for being your sanctuary that you're coming home to. I know when I get home, like I'm sure after we get home from this trip, it's going to be great to sleep in my own bed
Oh
and
yeah.
to,
Hmm.
not that our bed is bad. It's I think this house that we're staying in is very nice, but there's
Hmm.
something about your home and the energy
It's
of your home.
so
Yeah.
comfy and comforting. But I will say, my husband and I never want to leave the mountains. We were just like, let's just leave it. Let's just
Yeah.
stay. Let's just stay up here. We're moving.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous up here.
We're moving.
But when you leave for the day, tell it goodbye. Promise it that you'll return soon. Let it know what you're up to. I think that's a really clever way to incorporate hedge witchcraft, witchcraftery. I am just
Wow.
making up all kinds of words
It's
today
okay.
into
It's
your
okay.
practice. Anyway.
But yeah. One other thing about hedge witchery that I liked was you get to know the spirits of the land and the places around you.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you work with them, or your hedge witches work with them and invite them into their lives with songs, poems, offerings, or you, if you're trying to,
Hmm.
yes, yes. I'll just say you from now on, and you guys know what I mean. So the more you open yourself up to them, the more likely that they will offer you gifts and protection when you need it, etc.
Hmm.
So, in addition, study the plants that grow around your immediate area. If you don't have a garden or a yard, that's okay. I mean, I have a little balcony. It's okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
Plants grow everywhere. So where it's native to your planting zone, if you're at, like in like public wood area gardens, public gardens, like a little trail. We all
Hmm.
have trails everywhere, I feel, right?
Hmm.
Even in the
Hmm.
city.
Yeah. Yep.
So stuff like that. So you can explore any of those and study and, kind of use that in your craft in that way.
I like that idea of finding what's local to your area and what spirits are in your area.
Hmm.
I mean, I am lucky enough to have a big backyard, and I do feel the energies of the spirits out there. It's just lovely, and you should get to, as a hedge witch, you do get to know those local um, spirits, and you can bring those into your practice.
Hmm.
So we've got some thoughts. I've always heard, as I said before, oh, a hedge witch, that's a green witch or a kitchen witch or whatever.
Yeah.
So, what really is the difference? So, hedge witches emphasize working in the spirit world, engaging in practices like journeying between the realms and spirit communication, whereas green witches place their, excuse me,
Wow.
primary focus, sounded like a frog there for a minute, Green Witch's primary focus is herbalism or plant-based magic and the forging of a connection with the natural world. And then Kitchen Witches, of course, are more focused on the kitchen and their cooking practices.
Hmm. Yeah. See, and I've been talking about this the entire time, but how do you tell if you might be a hedge witch? Which you could be half hedge witch, you could be like a mixture. We all talk about how,
Hmm.
oh, I'm a kitchen witch or blah blah blah.
Right,
But
right,
there's a
right.
lot of other things beyond being just a kitchen witch that I resonate with. So
Hmm.
if you resonate with any of this, then okay, great. If you don't resonate with any of that, but you're still like, hey, I want a hedge witch, you are a hedge witch, then that's also true. Like
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
whatever you want. I don't know how
Hmm.
else to
Do
reiterate
what you
that. Do
want.
what
Do
you want.
what you want.
So one site says this on how you might be able to tell. So you feel deeply connected to nature's rhythms, which I guess,
Hmm.
obviously. You
Hmm.
possess strong intuition and psychic abilities. Yes, but I haven't been able to kind of really hone in on those
Yeah,
abilities
to
recently
use
because I've
it.
been so
Yeah.
muddled and
Yeah.
unfocused lately.
Yeah.
What about you?
Mm. That she says as I take a drink
Sorry.
of my cloud drink. Um, I do have a gut feeling, but I don't know if it's really intuition or if I'm reading because I am
Like
able to
empathic.
I am empathic. So I don't know if it's my intuition that I'm reading or if I'm reading the people around me.
Okay. You
And
are
I don't
drawn.
think I don't have any psychic abilities.
Okay. That's interesting.
Hmm.
Another one is you are drawn to spiritual and occult topics. Obviously,
Ding 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 ding
yep,
ding.
we have our own podcast. What can I say?
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
Another one is you value alone time for introspection. Yes,
Yes, for sure.
absolutely. You're fascinated fascinated
There's the
by
frog. It's passed to you. Oh my God.
fascinated by mystical and otherworldly. Yes.
Hmm.
You connect with spirits, ancestors, or deities.
Hmm.
Yes. You're into divination practices like tarot.
Hmm.
You feel a connection to your heritage,
Hmm.
and you see magic as a tool for personal growth,
See, I
which
feel
I
like
feel
all
like
of
all of
those,
those resonate with anybody and
any
everybody.
witch, any kind of
Yes,
witch.
anybody. Um, but
Well,
but yeah, I thought those were interesting.
that is interesting. I like to find those little quizzes that you can find online.
Oh,
What kind of
what
witch are
kind of witch
you?
are you? Yeah.
Yeah, they're so fun to take. I love to take those. But I wanted to see what some actual hedge witches out there had to say about being hedge witches. So, of course, Reddit is one of the places I go to.
Woo.
But this one said, I'm a hedge witch, and in a way, both interpretations are true. I can't remember what started this. I think they were talking about whether, anyway, I'll just keep reading.
Okay.
It says it depends on the witch. Number one, I see hedge witchery as a craft of liminal spaces, life and death, other
Oh.
worlds, or planes.
Okay.
Herbs and green crafts come into it because healing and working with the rhythms of all nature is all about managing life and death, which I thought that was interesting because he's talking, or she, I don't know if it was a he or a she,
Hmm.
but they were talking about how we think of, oh, a hedge witch is a green witch, and he or she is saying not necessarily. It's the fact that you work with life and death that's the
Hmm.
important part in hedge
Okay.
witchcraft.
Okay. Hmm.
And the traditional solitary cottage witch might have been the person you would call on to be a midwife or to lay out the dead, to prepare a body for the burying or whatever their
Hmm.
practices
Like
might
the
have
exhume
been.
the body.
Or you might be the one called to deal with something that they think is a curse or something really nasty. And then other hedge witches, he or she said, focus more on spirit work and hedge writing. And then he said, each to his own. Or
Hmm.
she, I don't know why I keep thinking that one was a guy, but this one says, hedge druid here. You'll get a different response with each practitioner you ask. It's a very, very malleable label. For me, it involves hedge writing into the other world, ancestral veneration, flowing with the seasons and cycles, talking with the trees and the neighborhood's critters, lots of hearth and green workings, and so much to do with the liminality of in any sort, such as casting at sunrise, sunset, or the fact that I chose to buy my current home because it's just outside the city limits and just before some dense forests. So
Mm-hmm.
he or she was talking about the luminosity. Luminosity? That is not what the
Liminal.
liminality. Okay, we're going to move on
Wow.
to the next one. Okay, the last one I have says a hedge witch who lived by the coast performed a monthly full moon ritual on the beach. She gathered items like seaweed, shells, and driftwood to incorporate into her ceremonies. Each full moon, she would light a bonfire, cast a circle, and perform a series of rituals to honor the moon's power and the ocean's energy. One particularly powerful full moon, she felt the presence of a sea goddess and received a message of empowerment and transformation. This profound experience became a cornerstone in her practice, and she began teaching others how to connect with the elements and the moons through her rituals. So,
Oh.
totally different type of hedge witch.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just goes to show that hedge witches are as individual as humans are in general.
Yes.
The way you practice your magic is personal to you. And, as Ren always says, do what you want.
Do what you want, literally.
Literally, literally. But what an interesting topic. It's another one of these episodes that I didn't expect it to be what I thought it was going in.
Yeah, exactly. And a
Hmm.
lot of the episodes that are like that are in our After Dark series, where we go in thinking like one thing, like especially about shadow work. We didn't
Hmm.
think that
We're like,
shadow
oh,
work,
this is going to be so dark.
yeah,
And
it's
we're
gonna be
like,
something else.
oh,
And we were
it's
like,
not.
oh, yeah, it's actually light
Hmm.
and fluffy and it's like self-serving and helps you.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that was one of these, like where we went in with a different opinion and came out educated and going, oh
Educated, yeah.
wow,
Mhm.
that's actually really nice.
So if any of
Um,
you all are hedge witches, it would be fun to hear what you think of it.
mhm,
And why do you define yourself as a hedge witch?
I feel like there's a lot uh that we could talk about
You
in
know,
that way.
did you ever watch the series The Magicians?
Off and on, yes.
Hedge witches in that series had a totally different meaning. They were the witches that weren't, quote, good enough to get into the school where
Hmm.
you learned witchcraft and you learned how to do all the, and so they kind of were self-taught. They had power,
Mm-hmm.
but they had to teach themselves. And so
Interesting.
interesting. That's such a good series if y'all haven't watched it.
I haven't seen much. I think I watched like one or two. I can't watch shows for that long. I
Oh
never
God.
finish a show.
I do not have that problem. Unfortunately, I wish I had that problem.
I'll watch up until the very end and then it'll be the last episode and then my brain just goes, nah. And
Oh my
I have
Lord.
a lot of shows that I have one episode left to watch and I won't watch it.
Is that because you don't want it to end or
No, I have no
just
interest. I just
that's
lost
so
interest
weird. How do you
in
do that?
like I
It
think I on The Witcher I literally have like two episodes left until the next season's supposed to come out, right?
Oh
And
my God.
I'm on like what's out like season 2, season 3, I don't know. I was
I
on
have no
Netflix
idea.
and I'm like two episodes away from finishing that season. I won't watch it. I don't want to.
If I could make money watching movies and shows, I
You
would
would
be a
be
cajillionaire.
yes, you would. You like your movies.
That is my jam. I love it.
But yeah, so that's all we have. If you liked what you heard, you can find more at www.c3witchypodcast.com. For a second, my mind blanked. There you can find links to all of our social medias. YouTube is one of our main one right now, so please go check us out on YouTube, subscribe, watch our videos, which are just our podcast, but you can listen
Hmm.
to our podcast on YouTube. We post our bonus Sabbath series on there, so that is also on there. Also on our website, you can find links to our episodes. It'll take you right to Buzzsprout, which is where we post our
Hmm.
our episodes. You can also find our newsletter, which a new one will be coming out soon. So we're super excited about that.
And
Um,
I'm actually almost done with it this time, so hopefully it won't be late.
Hopefully it'll be on time.
Hmm.
And then you can also find a link to our merch website, which is www.c3witchypodcastmerch.com. There you can find our limited edition designs that
Hmm.
we've designed for this season. So it's going to be up till probably a little bit after Lammas, and then we are going to be redoing our whole thing.
Yes, because Lammas is right around the corner and then
Yes.
Mabon is after that. So if we're going to have merch up in time for Mabon, which we may not be able to the way it falls.
Hmm.
And plus, I think we'd both like to design Samhain ones anyway.
We love a good
Yeah,
Samhain.
we
I'm
love
so
a good
excited.
Samhain one.
Um,
But they will be taken down soon, and this is the last
yes.
opportunity you have to get
Yes.
them.
And we're going to be doing a total shift, and hopefully it'll be easier price wise for you guys and us, and better quality and all of that. So we're super excited about that transition.
Definitely.
What else? I think that's it.
Thank you for supporting us.
Yes, thank you.
Did you talk about them supporting us?
You can
You can,
support us on Patreon or Buzzsprout. We're all over
we
the place.
would greatly appreciate it.
Yes.
It would help us a lot.
Also on our website is information about that. So go check it out. And you'll be able to see what you get with each platform.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm kind of shifting into the Patreon where we do a
We
little
do
bit
a lot
extra.
more.
So
Yeah,
check that out.
I think the Buzzsprout subscriptions are really great if you
You're on the
aren't
go, you're
interested
not
in
interested in any
extra,
of
but
that.
yeah,
You
you
just
want
want
to
the
have
bonus
it
episodes.
on the same platform. Yeah.
Yep. Hmm.
Yeah.
So
Well, thank you guys for listening. We'll be back.
we'll be back.
And until then, stay witchy.
Woo!